or during a wedding,
Mm.
what do they say? Like before the proceedings get started? Like, does anyone have
Any
anything to say?
objections?
Yeah. Any objections? Is
I
that
don't know. I noticed you started recording too, so I guess we're into it at this point. But yeah,
are there
something
any
like that.
objections?
Not on my part.
Okay.
I was almost thinking more of like SNL. Like, we got a great show for you tonight. So and so is here, like whoever like the musical artist is.
Live from Saturday night.
It's Thursday night. We're not live, and it's episode 104 of the Morse Code podcast.
But ironically, Kenan Thompson is part of this show, and Tim Meadows.
I genuinely don't know what you mean.
I think
you have your wires crossed.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Neither one of those people who are clearly too famous to come on our show are coming on our show tonight.
All right. Well, I guess this is a wait and see type thing, right?
You can wait, but you're not going to see much. You can wait all you want. Episode 104. It is just us. So as I always say, there's a great point to just stop listening if you were interested in hearing another person, which most people are. In fact, most people are interested in only hearing the other person.
Yes.
I don't dive too deep into the analytics, but that is the one stat that jumps out to me. We get a lot of hard mutes whenever our like volume ticker increases.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't necessarily blame them.
No, and I don't like being a stats nerd or like an analytics guy, but kind of is what it is. You're not doing your job if you're not watching the tape.
Yeah. Yeah, but, you got to go back and study and can't be paying attention just to the praise. You got to look at the critique.
We don't get any of that. Boy, we don't get any of that.
I don't even know what praise sounds like.
Couldn't tell you. Speaking of going back and watching the tape, if you do follow us on like Twitter or Instagram or any of those apps, if you're into that kind of thing, I was going back to, we call it the old show here, the best podcast that you and I are both a part of. I couldn't find it on Spotify or YouTube. I don't think it was on YouTube. It is still on the Apple Store, the podcast app.
I assume Apple refuses to remove it.
I don't think they can afford to remove it.
Yeah.
Personally. Suicide. They remove that. All 6 episodes of it. But I don't know if you've have you seen this? Have you seen this one? On the old best podcast, I was just cycling through it, and I do remember, I don't know if you do, but I do remember recording this one with Shawnee O and you when we were talking about, because what I didn't include in the clip was the context of the clip. But at the time, the news story was that the movie Cruel Intentions was coming out with like a Broadway play version of it or something like that. So I had posed the question. I think I actually had posed it like, what movie is good enough to get you to go see it as a Broadway play or like a musical? Because neither of us are big Broadway guys. I know friend of the program, Justin Lang, as we talked about previously, big opera guy. And I know you are too. I'm not talking like the big opera, just like Broadway musical, whatever, a live performance of movies you would go see. And that was a fun conversation looking back at it. I think you threw out the Fast and the Furious, which I can only imagine is better live than that studio green screen.
Ugh.
Just trash that they throw at us and charge us $15 to go see in the theater. Yeah, just pitiful. CGI, just capitalism at its worst is really what it comes down to. No thanks. No, I'm sorry. I just got a pit in my stomach thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm disgusted even at this topic. But
I'm honestly ready to cut. No, let's move on. Let's fight through it. I think Space Jam was mentioned. I think a few others, but the best part is somehow we have people who follow and listen to us. I opened it up and there were some good ones. Someone said Star Wars. You said Fast and the Furious. I was thinking Departed. I think that'd be a fun one to see on Broadway. Great dialect, great dialogue. Titanic would be a good one, depending on, what kind of technology they have to shoot it and whatnot. And then what else? Oh, here it is. What we've heard from some followers. Borat would be great live. I would just like to watch Sacha Baron Cohen as Borat, like talk live.
Yeah.
Like, I think he'd have a great, like, Tonight Show.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like he would definitely involve the crowd.
Yes. It would be interactive.
Yeah.
To say the least. And I would love to interact with that. I'm gonna have to let my dog out in a second, but we can continue here. What else was I gonna say? Oh, the Warriors was brought up. I assumed he meant like a documentary on like the Golden State Warriors, but I think he meant like that 80s movie, The Warriors, about like gangs. And I know you're not big on gang violence. I am, but I think it would be a good Broadway play. Knowing nothing about the film, outside of I think it stars Steph Curry, or maybe Del Curry, because it was back in the 80s. Who played for the Hornets?
I was gonna say I wouldn't mind seeing Draymond on Broadway. I think if anyone's a good actor, it would be him.
Ooh, that sounds like a shot.
Looking at you,
I would see Draymond in like a one-man show, like a Vagina Monologues type of performance.
Draymond as the guy, as
Playing
Jason Segel's character from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Playing the piano with like
a vampire opera. Yeah. Do you like that movie? I love that movie.
It's okay. I hate
you don't like Jason. Yeah, you don't like Jason Segel, right?
No. He and I just do not get along or see eye to eye. Mainly because he's much taller.
I hate to do this. I might have to step away for a minute to get Ellie a bone or something. Do you have like an ad read or a station identification or anything you can do for a minute?
Yeah, I'm sure I could come up with something.
Okay, I'm going to pass it over to you, but I do want to continue this in 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay.
If you're listening, this is a great time to throw your phone out the window, but I'll be right back.
Yes. Yeah, I would definitely reach out to your cell phone carrier if you have any issues with what goes on here. Been a while since I've been on the mic solo, so we'll see what I can do. As far as Broadway plays and musicals that I'd like to see live, the other one that I said was Transformers. I think you got to say that would be interesting to see how they would come up with the technology, not even technology, but what would they do? How would a person turn into a car? I'd like to see how that could be done live. I think it could be done. I got a lot of faith in the thespian community and a lot of close friends in said community. So I think it could be done. I just don't know how that would take place. So I'd like to see that. If anyone's seen the recent remake, 2020's Invisible Man, I think that would be one hell of a thing to see live. I don't know how you convey someone being invisible while also, well, you need them to be visible, but they also need to be invisible. So I don't know how that would work. Although there are points in the movie where, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, he becomes visible because he's wearing a suit. So I guess those parts would be easy, but I guess like one of the best scenes in the movie is when he gets revealed. The protagonist, to figure out like where he is when she's fighting him, she takes a bucket of paint, throws it on him, and that's what like gets him wet. And that's how you can see like the shape of his body. So Invisible Man, Dan is back.
I came back at that's how you can see the shape of his body.
Yeah.
So
I just leave it there.
All right, sounds good. Sorry about that. Had to step away for a second. Where were we? The Broadway discussion. I don't know how far into this you want to go, but I thought it was interesting. You know, if I'm really in no rush to get back into the Broadway scene, but there's a few things I would go. I just thought of something, but then realized how stupid it was. I was going to say I would love to go see wrestling on Broadway, but I then realized that wrestling is already pretty much live action, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess I would just like to go to wrestling. Yeah, I'd like to go to wrestling again. It doesn't have to be on Broadway.
Yeah. So you just want to go to the TD
anyway.
Garden and see Monday Night Raw.
I'd like to go see Monday Raw at the Garden.
Yeah. Monday Night Broadway.
Yeah. Dennis Rodway.
Broadway is more.
Were there any others that you mentioned, or was that what you were talking about while I was gone?
Yeah, I was talking about The Invisible Man and Transformers.
Oh, Transformers would be dope. Invisible Man, I haven't seen. The one with Kevin Bacon?
I think it's a similar title movie, but it's different.
Oh. Okay. Haven't seen it. I haven't seen a real good movie in a while. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie I thought was good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hot take, but I'm really struggling to think off the top of my head.
Do you like the Conjuring movies? Just a real quick aside.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Really good. Very scary. Terrifying.
I got good news. There's a third one coming, which I didn't know.
I heard that rumor. It's actually like Conjuring 3 or like a spinoff.
Yeah, Conjuring 3.
Hell yeah.
I just saw the previews today and it looks sick.
Oh, I'm in for that. Yep. Where and when does it take place?
Early 1980s. Not live.
Early 1980s?
Yeah.
Love that. Big fan. Underrated, very scary time. Like going from like the 70s to the 80s.
Yeah.
Always felt that way.
I assume that everyone in the 70s and 80s that like lived during that point was just
were haunted
in a real life horror movie.
Yeah. No, seriously. Like I do love the Conjuring movies. I'm trying to think. The first one starring Gary Tanguay took place like 70s, 60s, yeah. 70s.
Yep.
Okay. And then the second one was before that, or maybe it was after, but it was in London.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
Another
they're
good
like
one.
Close enough in time.
Yeah, going into the 80s will be dope. Very good. Because I always thought, did you like the Paranormal Activity movies? That series?
Yeah, I thought those were pretty good.
Me too. I enjoyed them a lot. I know they got some flack for being stupid, I guess.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah. But I thought they were exactly what they should have been. Like they were a collection of, and that was really, I think, the first of its kind, like a legit from beginning to end collection of like security cam type, like first person perspective type, like movies. Unless you count like Blair Witch. But I thought Paranormal Activity was good. And I think it was the third one that was my favorite that took place in like the 80s with like the home, like VHS, like recorder type of footage. That shit's terrifying. Anything from that era, I find very scary. Like right before you start to really get into like some advanced stuff like that in the 90s, pre-crack, so like early 80s, but late past like the disco era of the 70s. Is scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Horror movies were definitely bookended by crack and disco.
Dancing and crack on one end or the other. Your choice. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if they're advertising with us, but go check out Conjuring 3 coming to a theater near you, or probably HBO Max or some other streaming platform. When is it coming out?
It just said coming soon, and you are correct. Theaters and HBO Max.
So, it is an HBO Max flick. Gotcha.
Could be.
I think. Yeah.
Could be soon. It could be fucking next year. Who the hell knows?
Who the hell knows? HBO Max is cool. I'm not gonna slander them on a public platform.
No, there's a lot of good stuff on there.
Sure is. Let's get back. Speaking of things that are a lot of good stuff, let's get back to our show. So we talked about the Broadway. Talked about some people reaching out to us. I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Good friend of the program, TKA, throughout Pulp Fiction, which would be cool. I assume you haven't seen that movie. It's a mainstream cool movie. Lots of people have seen.
I've seen it in parts. I just didn't like the cover of the movie because all like orange and shit.
Oh boy, you need a lesson on not to judge a book by its cover in more ways than one. It's one of your tragic flaws. And then he suggested the film Showgirls, which is about strippers, which you know apparently a lot about, more than I do. Talk about it on this program every other week. Every time I happen to take a day off, you talk to someone about strip clubs. Which would be cool, but I feel like that's probably just a strip club.
Yeah, he just wants to see naked girls.
He just wants to go to a strip club. Yeah. So that can be arranged.
We can arrange that if you
happy to
really
help.
need to.
More than happy to help. You can use those Morse code bucks that we printed up over the weekend.
Yeah.
And let them fly.
The Dan dollars.
Dancing for Dan dollars at the local nudie bar. But what do we transition here? It's been an interesting week. I don't know what the hell my dog's doing. She's flapping her face against something. We got in the old show notes. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you about. Couple things on the docket.
Sure.
I feel like there were two pretty big stories this week that I just didn't figure out at all. I didn't get enough information from the tweets I read to understand the story, and I didn't dedicate enough time to look into it. I know we talked about one of them. So if that's the one you want to talk about, that's fine. But it's the Lakers catfish story, which I know nothing about, and like the soccer Super League story. I know nothing about that.
Yeah, I have no knowledge of that second one.
It sounds cool. I just haven't learned about it yet. So we'll put that one on the back burner. Catch me up to speed with the Lakers catfish story.
So I'm looking at the story again right now. Basically, there's a girl in.
I just want to, before you get too into it, I assume this is like catfish is in like the internet catfish, not the aquatic feline.
Well,
unless
we
there's two
should
stories.
Explain that.
Go ahead.
I feel like people might not understand what catfishing means.
I don't know the origin of the name.
I don't either.
What catfishing is. I don't know how it relates to an actual catfish.
Yeah. So catfishing is just pretending to be someone else online. That's all it is. And it kind of like caught storm because people would do it on dating websites. And then like when they go to meet up, obviously it's a completely different person than you were led to believe. Tragic, in my estimation.
Can be.
Yeah. So as it relates to this story about the Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, to be specific.
Oh, that's what I meant to ask you too, if you meant the Los Angeles Lakers. So go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. So there's this girl who's a part of Lakers Twitter. She's a big fan.
Sounds like an awful place.
Yeah. She's a big fan with 15,000 plus followers. I'm just looking at the story on, if anyone's interested in looking this up, it's on uproxx.com.
I believe that's UPROX. No,
2 X's.
2 X's. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Just like most of my adult life. So yeah, girl with like a pretty big following on Lakers Twitter, and I don't know how you become a fan and just have a huge following, but either way, it's Lakers Twitter.
Out there.
And she had like a couple even famous followers. Like she had Ice Cube's son, who's a part of Lakers Twitter. That's why he's mentioned in the story. And Markieff Morris, like one of their backup.
Oh, wow.
Small forwards.
Current player. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the story went viral because somehow it was reported that she had gone missing earlier this week. And those guys, Ice Cube's son and Markieff Morris, jumped into the story and kind of got involved because they retweeted the links saying, hey, this girl's missing. She's a part of the Lakers family. Please, if anyone see her, like try to get the word out and help us hopefully find her.
So other accounts tweeted a link saying that girl is missing. Obviously, that account didn't tweet a link saying I'm missing.
Right.
Gotcha.
It was first tweeted out by this guy Josh Toussaint, who hosts a Lakers podcast, and he's got a good amount of followers too.
Okay.
So that's where this gets interesting. People are posting like with the prayer hands, like you can't be serious. I hope this isn't true. Bring Vivian back home. Vivian's her name.
Of course it is.
So I think it was within the same day that it was posted by Josh, the podcast guy. Later on the same day, he announced that she had been found. Thank you to everyone for helping out. She's been brought home safely. And I was like, oh, all right. Interesting story, but looks like it's over and everyone's safe and sound. However, things took a very strange turn from there. That's the verbatim from Uproxx.
Oh boy.
After people started looking into the account more, they started to notice some things weren't quite right about photos she had posted. And one person said he had been texting with this Vivian for some time. Then, when he tried to FaceTime with her, she refused, and he started to think something was fishy. I should also
Oh.
point out that this girl was supposedly an international fan, and she just would like post these pictures to Instagram and Twitter and whatever, wearing Lakers paraphernalia, and it just looked like photoshopped heads. Half of the girls that were in the pictures, like one of them looked as much like me as she did a black person, which is she's supposedly black in most of these pictures. And then all of a sudden there's like one picture who was like, that's not only a different girl, that's like an Asian girl. Like very confusing.
Yeah, I would assume. I would assume that's the case. That's the thing though. Like there's Twitter accounts all over the place that are clearly like fake people. Like it's like it's a picture of like Joel Embiid, and it's like I love the Sixers like account. But you're saying like her account, it was like her name, and she would post pictures of herself.
Yeah, being like "Go Lakers" or "Big game tonight."
Gotcha. Okay.
So some pictures would be her from the Staples Center, like so glad
now it's
make it to a game. But if you look at the pictures, dude, the head doesn't belong on the body, or it just looks like it looks fake.
Sure.
So things moved quickly from there, and at one point, Kevin Durant hopped on
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, very. He's involved in anything involved with the internet.
I heard he has a Twitter account. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. He hopped on something called Twitter Spaces, which I've never even heard of. But it's some sort of like, I don't know, chat room function. And he goes on there with a co-host of one of his shows, who was the guy who had the supposed text relationship with Vivian. And so it's a screenshot of a bunch of people in this room, and they're just talking about like, hold on, this isn't real, or what's going on here? The thing that tipped many folks off was when they started looking more closely at the very clearly photoshopped images of Vivian and recognized that shenanigans were afoot. So Dragonfly Jones tweeted a pretty funny picture where it's cropped. One picture is this girl that she looks Asian, and then in another picture that is supposedly like much later, like a couple years later, she actually looks younger in the later pictures.
That's not easy to do.
Someone looked at her Twitter account and noticed that at some point she had changed her birth date.
Wow. From
November 8th to February 14th. And then this is where it gets really weird. So then the attention turns back to the guy, the podcast host, who he had claimed that he had been in touch with her family, and also claimed to have DM'd with the Lakers about the situation. And these are tweets that he's deleted, but people took a screenshot of. But he posted this picture where he was allegedly speaking with the Lakers, and they're like, our head of security, Robert, is going to reach out to you. And this guy, Josh, goes, thank you so much. Sincerely appreciate it. Lakers. Absolutely. Vivian is part of the family. He posted this, and under it, he put a caption, got some help on the way, which is hilarious. And the weirdest part, this guy had this Vivian girl on his podcast multiple times just because she's a supposed big Lakers fan.
Yeah. Right.
And some people went back and kind of like edited the audio, and they're like, if you change the pitch or if you lower it as if to say this was just like shit that's been distorted with, the original audio looks like it's something that could definitely have been voiced by this guy, aka
so he's the catfish.
Yeah, so he's the catfish.
Got you. Wow. Interesting. What's his following like?
That's the funny part. If he is indeed the catfish, his fake identity has way more followers than he does.
Got you. Interesting.
Yeah.
So if he's the one who controls Vivian, is he also one who started the rumors about Vivian going missing?
Yep.
Okay. I want to make sure that's the case. Because if it wasn't, He must have logged on and been like, oh shit, I didn't prepare for this scenario. What happens if this fake person goes missing? Wow, that's interesting. God, the internet's a weird place.
What a weird thing to try to like, I guess in a weird way it is clout chasing, but just in a, all right, I'm just going to bring as much attention to my show as possible in this like crazy emergency abduction type story.
Well, okay. So a couple things though. So it's like, how long has that fake account been up before he started the missing persons story?
That's a good question. That I'm not sure.
Because I mean, if that was his end goal, that is weird. You're building up this fake person to eventually have her go missing to cause more sensation. Because outside of that, what's the difference between him making a fake account that follows the Lakers as opposed to just him doing it himself? Outside, the only real difference, I guess, is male versus female. If he thought a woman would have a better chance at growing a following than him, if he's like a total dweeb. Also, write this down. Gets weird. We should make a fake account to get clout. Call it. I don't know. We'll just like take Leahy and make him a fake account on Twitter since he's not on Twitter anymore.
Sure.
Lion Bahy.
Yeah.
Larry Blahy.
Ex-producer.
Ex-producer, if you're listening.
That'll throw people off the scent.
That will raise some eyebrows. That will raise some eyebrows if all of a sudden we post Leahy's job on LinkedIn. Morse Code Podcast seeking employment. Executive producer.
Dude, there were some funny memes that came out after this too.
Yeah, I know. I really need to follow it. The only good ones I saw were like Aunt Viv memes, like from Fresh Prince, which were pretty good. So how did it like get busted? Like, did eventually people just start tweeting like, "Yo, this is a fake account"?
Eventually, he came out with some sort of conclusion text, being like, "I can't believe the reaction that I'm getting. You guys are gonna have to take my word for it. I would never do that." But it's sad what the internet can do sometimes. Basically, like playing the victim.
So he hasn't admitted it's a fake account.
No,
but people know it's a fake account.
People are pretty confident. People know it's fake. It hasn't been confirmed that it's him, but I mean, all signs point to him.
I got you. So that's the weird part about catfishing, because I do watch the show Catfish a lot. I really enjoy it. And one of the weirdest parts is like none of the parties are fake. Like the person pretending to be the person is a real person, as well as the pictures are pictures of a real person. You know what I mean? So it's like that. This person, the pictures of Vivian might not be Vivian, but that's a real person.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like the classic catfish, I guess, conundrum of like, did you fall in love? And remember, the show Catfish is more about like romantic relationships. So it's like, okay, did you fall in love with the person you were seeing or the person you thought you were talking to? Because they're not the same person. So you know what I mean? Like, obviously you break a lot of trust by admitting, hey, I'm not who I said I was, but that's not really true. Like, you were who you were. You were just like physically showing yourself as a different person. And that's the most fucked up part about it. Because yes, when you do eventually meet this person, most catfishers choose a more attractive person than they really are in their photos.
Would you be a cat fisherman or a catfish?
That's what I was trying to debate before I said it. So if I'm the like, who's the catfish? The picture of someone else, or the person pretending to be that person? I think a cat fisherman would be someone.
The person doing the trickery, wouldn't it? Oh my God. Because they're trying to catch like
a fish.
This date. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of moving pieces. I don't know, but it is a great story.
Are you still part of the local fish and game department? God damn it.
Not up until about 7:30, 6.5 hours ago. Been an afternoon. But no, that's a good one. But the thing is, it's like, if you're a part of NBA Twitter, I assume 80% of the accounts I follow are just fake. Like they're not fake in the sense. That's why I asked about like how they portrayed themselves. Like if they, like I go on Twitter and my name is Dan Morris on Twitter, and my profile picture is a picture of me. And it's not like I post a lot of pictures on Twitter, but I'll pull it up right now. Like I guarantee if I refresh my feed, it's gonna be like some kid, like it's gonna be like at fucking Ben Simmons Stan account 48. I know I'm not talking to Ben Simmons when I let me find one.
Yeah, at Dikembe Mutombo's left testicle 4.
I follow at Icy Metcalf, and his profile picture is DK Metcalf, and he posts a lot. He or she posts a lot about the Seattle Seahawks. I know I'm not talking to DK Metcalf when I interact with this account. It's probably some 23-year-old kid. I'm not sure what he looks like. I don't know anything about him, but he posts some funny stuff. That's not catfishing. Like that's just someone who has an account, an NBA Twitter account or an NFL Twitter account, whatever. Catfish is like you're taking on the personality of another person. But the most bizarre, do you watch Catfish, the MTV show? Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
It's I think it's really good. But the saddest part is, at least to me, majority of the time when they meet up with the person at the end and they have a come to God moment, like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I know, blah blah blah. Typically they're not just catfishing that one person. Typically they're like, yeah, like I have a lot of relationships online with people, and typically
casted a wide net.
Seriously. And typically it's like a 3 or 4 or 5 year buildup to the moment when they meet them. So a couple things here. So as far as the fake person pretending to be someone, like you're dedicating your life to being a fake person. And like being like they text all day, they call all day, like normal couples do. But that's not who you basically not sacrificed, but you've dedicated your life to be a fake person with potentially more than one people. That's bonkers. Like that's kind of sad actually. And then the other end of the spectrum is the other person. And it's like, if you watch the show, they're all the same. Just like you described it. Like, yeah, like I really love this person. We talk about getting married all the time. We've been together for 3 years. But no, every time I ask to like FaceTime, she says her camera's broken or like can't do it. And we've never spoken on the phone. She just said she prefers the text. And now we've never met up in real life. Like, she said she's bought plane tickets and we've come close, but then, her grandmother went to the hospital or something came up.
She always makes these weird fish puns that I don't understand.
At that point, like you're an idiot. Like the writing's on the wall, especially now since catfishing there's a television program going on, probably its 10th season. Yeah. That literally is the play-by-play of how this works.
It's a recognized thing. You should be aware that this is
big time. I don't know how the show is still on the air. Like this is like a recession-proof television program. There's still going to be dudes out there who get duped into believing this.
Oh, I didn't know that this was still going.
Up until I know they did a season where everything was done like via Skype and Zoom. So that was pandemic 2020, which is even weirder. And I'll say this, like me and Ari watched it. If you watch those episodes, it sounds stupid. Like they don't meet up in person, it's meet up in Zoom. It's honestly so much better because it'll be like Neve, who's the host. He usually has a co-host and like the person who needs help finding their catfish. And then it'll show Neve like, all right, like I'm going to text her the Zoom link. And then it'll be like, this because you handled our Zoom calls. It'll be like, guest has entered like the waiting room. And then you're just waiting suspensefully for him to like click accept for this catfish to like pop up on the screen and you see who it is. It's incredible. It actually got me through a lot of dark times in 2020. So shout out Catfish.
I was going to say, this sounds pretty sad, but are there any good moments from this show? Mm-hmm. There are moments where it's not absolutely. Catfish, right?
I would say more often than not, it's not who they think they are, and like they say like, hey, like go fuck yourself, like leave me alone. But yeah, sometimes it is the real person.
Okay.
And that's the part that I think people cling on to. Sometimes they meet the real person and they show them their phone and they're like, hey, my camera's broken. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, like I told you, like, I'm sorry.
Watch your fingers. You're going to prick yourself on the glass.
But also sometimes it's and this is pretty rare, but there's been a few. It is a completely different person. And they're like, you know what? Like, I can look beyond the fact that you're not who you presented yourself are via pictures, but I'd still like to continue this relationship, which is crazy because it's like, that's not off to a good start. I think it gets really interesting when it's a different gender. Like when it's a dude talking, a heterosexual dude talking to what he think is like an attractive woman, to find out it's like another unattractive dude. At that point, it's like, well, I don't see this going anywhere.
I'm going to have to fight you. That's how this episode ends.
I want to kick your ass. So, well, not for nothing. That's kind of the Vivian one. It's a guy pretending to be a girl.
Dude.
Which is so weird. And here's the other weird part about the show Catfish. Sometimes like they do talk on the phone. And a lot of times it's like like the fake person will have like their cousin or their sister or something, or their roommate, like pretend to be the person and talk to him on the phone. And that's where it's like, and again, this happens for years and every day, all day. Like when you're in a relationship, especially when you first start dating someone, you talk to that person pretty much all day, every day. You text, you call, whatever. That's just such a sad way to like there's so many other things you get. And again, that's how most episodes end. They'll sit down on the couch and be like, is this really how you want to live your life? And shouldn't you be out there being yourself? And I get it. Like, if you're not comfortable with who you are, trust me, a lot of people go through that. I don't think the first resort should just be like, fuck it, I'll just pretend to be someone else for the rest of my life.
Yeah, because like part of it is the mentality of them kind of getting off of almost like an adrenaline rush.
100%. And they all say that. Role. Yeah,
it's weird.
It's very strange.
One of the there's two good tweets I want to bring up. So there's one that has a screenshot of a conversation between Vivian and Josh. It's them just going back and forth on Twitter, which now is just so uncomfortable to read, knowing that this is likely just Josh logging into each account and responding to himself.
Sure.
So first tweet is from her. NBA Sundays are better than NFL or MLB Sundays, in my opinion. Don't at me. LOL. Josh, excuse me. Josh, your hate for football, ... Shake my head. Vivian, ooh. LOL for any other sport. Josh, shaking my fucking head. Vivian, talk to the hand, LOL. And then the picture next to it is Pierce holding two cell phones. That famous.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's a great example. That's a weird way to spend an afternoon.
Yes.
Arguing with your fake Twitter account. A really nice angle would be like if they started like flirting and like hooked up, like fell in love.
Or if they like started some drama.
Yeah.
I can't fucking believe he left me. And then someone comments underneath like, who or what are you talking about? And Vivian comes back like Josh's bitch ass. Look at what he said to me the other day.
Yeah. Vivian just like comments at Josh. Well, at least my mom's on a fat cow. Back and forth. Oh yeah. Well, at least I didn't fail fucking middle school English. Oh yeah. Well, your dad's a loser. And that's how crazy it gets. Like, you just get so wrapped up in this world. And that's the thing I've always thought about Catfish. So once you're at like 2 years, which is an incredibly long time, once you're at like 6 months, whatever, you must be so like pot committed. Like you just have to keep going.
Because I don't know how else you get out of it besides
you just completely ignore them, delete the account. Yeah. Or just one day be like, hey, by the way, this is long overdue, but I'm not a real person. And we're probably never going to meet up. And that's the other kind of fucked up part about Catfish. A lot of times it'll be like, they'll bond because the fake person will be like, hey, sorry, I've been a little distant lately. Like my dad died, or like, I just got out of like rehab or something like serious like that, which understandably the other party's like, oh yeah, sorry to hear that. Like, now I guess I can't break up with you. And then the cycle just starts over again. It's really a dark part of the internet.
I did forget,
but it's entertaining.
There's one part that I got wrong. So he actually, one of his concluding tweets, and he's still active, but I think this is one of the final things he said. He admits that there was a fake person involved, but obviously he doesn't admit to it being him. He just acts like he got tricked. So he goes, still haven't gotten a goddamn explanation. Thought I trusted someone and learned my lesson. Tried to help a friend I thought was in peril. I was duped like y'all and feel bad I was a pawn. Such garbage. Logging off for a while. Stay safe out there. You never know. With the peace sign. Then the picture next to this one, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's the newscaster who's sitting next to a crime sketch of like a suspect. And the sketch looks just like the guy.
This sounds stupid. This sounds like he's just burying himself.
Kind of.
Like he's leading hints that like, yeah, I'm the same person. Very strange. But that's exactly what I mean. They play like a victim's mentality to, I think, make a case for like the other side that like they can't like give you shit for it because they feel bad. I don't know. Interesting story.
Some would say that I catfished Michael Cooper many episodes ago.
How so?
Well, he thought I was going to be a girl.
Very true. That was like an accidental catfish.
And no explanation. No explanation, but shout out to Joey Sturbridge for anyone listening who understands that reference.
Yep, let's leave it at that.
That is not catfishing, though.
Similar vibe. Shout out Maria Andrews, too.
Oh, yeah.
Big follower of the program.
Yeah.
Great follow on Facebook.
One of the most gorgeous girls I've ever seen.
Smoking hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sturbridge is still kicking around. I haven't talked to that guy in a minute. We should get him on the show.
We should. I have a feeling he would just show up
on the show, but I don't think he recorded that one or released it. Rumor has it. You know what? This close to 420, he might be out of commission for a minute.
Oh yeah, big
boy,
time.
Oh boy.
He drank himself under the table and then under several more tables.
He drank a pound of weed the other day. Yeah. Funneled a pound of weed. What else we got? That's the great thing about, I think, this show. Majority of our audience are just Twitter degenerates like us. So we really rarely have to like put together an agenda. I can just refresh Twitter and then that's what we're going to talk about. That's a great one. Did you see, I don't want to talk about this too long, but I saw our friend Hurricane was talking about something about waterbeds. Do you remember waterbeds?
I do. It's such an old memory, but I do.
It really is. And like, they literally just vanished with no explanation. Like, when did waterbeds, I assume they don't still make waterbeds, do they?
I don't think so. The last person that I know is someone that you know who had one. And I wonder if you can guess.
My
it's
mother
someone from Nashville.
Waterbed, if you're making a joke.
No. I
have no idea.
Okay. Matt Reed.
Oh God. Like he slept in a waterbed?
He had one. I don't remember seeing it myself, but I know that like in my time
when he lived
at
his mom's house, he had a waterbed.
I think he did.
That is so fitting. Hey, that is so fitting.
It is so fitting.
For a number of reasons. I wonder if he listens to the show. That'd be interesting.
So Matt, you little bitch. Clip.
I can't imagine. I remember a good friend of mine had a waterbed. I think his whole family had waterbed. A very aquatic family. They all had waterbeds.
They get a good deal.
But bro, we were like probably 4th, 5th, or 6th grade. It's like right when you were old enough to get your own. I assume you had your own room, but like a bigger than like a twin size bed. So like maybe like 6th or 7th grade. I don't know. I had a twin size bed for a while. I'm pretty sure. But I'm pretty sure his first like real bed was a water bed. And it was a friend of mine who we used to have like sleepovers. And I remember he showed it to me one night and I was like, bro, that's sick. But like, I can't really benefit from we're not sleeping in the same bed, but like go off, King. Like good for you. Like what do you want me to do? Waterbeds are a weird flex. I feel like they were like a flex. Like
Oh,
that was like the
definitely.
height of luxury at a certain time. Like basically sleeping on like an inflatable, like a pool toy.
Yeah.
Like when I go to bed at night, I don't think I would be better off if my mattress was filled with water. That
No.
seems incredibly impractical,
Yeah, you need
especially
cushion.
sleeping with a partner.
Yeah. You need
How the
something
fuck do
to
you
like
do that?
stabilize you. I don't think water does that very well.
I feel like
I'm no scientist.
if you and your significant other were sleeping on a waterbed, that's way too much. Like every time you move, like way too much movement throughout the night. How do you
Yeah.
settle into a waterbed?
Yeah, I'm trying to think I mean it's no
I'm
different
just
from an
like floating on like a bag filled with water. You're basically sleeping on a big water balloon.
yeah, you're sleeping on the like a bagged goldfish that you just brought home from the pet store.
It's cliche like bags of goldfish you get at the circus. It's pretty much what I picture. I kind of like if I just Google like hold on. Let me
Well, I
buy
was thinking of
myself a
this.
waterbed.
It's
Waterbed
not
safe.
much different from like a an underinflated air mattress with how much like the air gets pushed all over the place. If you're on one corner,
Right.
then yeah.
Right. So I typed in waterbeds for sale. I get hit with a couple, Google ads. I get hit with Walmart's location. That's not great.
You get
And
hit with
then
a frequently visited website.
yeah, the first thing under people also ask, are waterbeds still sold? Do they make waterbeds in 2020? Great question here. Are waterbeds good for your back? I'm going to assume the answer is no before I even expand it. A modern waterbed is just as supportive as a traditional coil spring mattress. Bullshit. And the heat of the water may help keep your back more limber. That's another thing. Are people sleeping in hot water, boiling water beds?
I think, if I was to do it,
I'd want
oh
like
yeah,
room temperature, like lukewarm water.
yeah, good
I'm
call.
not
I was
getting
about
on
to
a.
say I'd like it boiling, but never mind.
No, I don't want to get on a bed of hot water or cold water. Actually, I think cold water would be more like therapeutic, like
Yeah,
relaxing. Either way, like what happens? Like if I roll to my side, I assume my elbow would just dip down to hit the base, and then I would just have two big bubbles on like the side of me. We really need to get a waterbed salesman on here to talk through this. I don't know the legit. I haven't thought about the logistics of a waterbed. Honest to God, maybe in 20 years, maybe since year 2000.
I can't picture how a waterbed is constructed in terms of like, is there any cushioning? Is there
I
any
don't
like,
remember. Like it's obviously I think the initial is like a plastic, literally a bag filled with water. Then you put a sheet on it, and then a blanket. It's just too much movement for me. I don't know. I don't see myself buying one. If Carter ever wants a waterbed, like I'd consider it, but a water crib. I think it's one of those things that's like sounds like a good idea, and then it sounds like it's comfortable at first. Then you mix it in with marketing it as something kind of bougie. People are going to buy it. But I don't think there's anyone on earth that would, if you interviewed them a year after purchasing their waterbed, that they were like, this was a good decision. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I made the switch from
this is such a
cotton
90s
to
thing.
water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these pictures are really weird. I'm just trying to get
I need a waterbed documentary ASAP. Do they make waterbeds in 2020? Yes. It turns out there are still some sleep manufacturers producing and selling waterbeds. They're not nearly as popular or common as they were in their heyday, but they've still got a presence.
What do they mean they're not
waterbed's
nearly as
heyday?
calming?
I don't know, but this throws me for a loop. This is the picture of the article written only less than a year ago. This is just a picture of a woman sleeping on a mattress out in the middle of the lake. It's not a waterbed.
I don't know. That's very literally a water bed.
That is a waterbed. Great article. Hey world, we've got a question. Do they still make waterbeds? What happened to the seemingly ingenious sleep aid? The mattress designed to help sleepers drift away to the rhythmic movements of water every night. Did they just disappear? Waterbeds have always been fascinating, especially for those of us who came after their prime and have always wondered why their immense popularity didn't last. Were the potential negative consequences of a leak just too dire to bear anymore? Was the sleep not as restful as advertised? And maybe, and most importantly, how exactly are they made? I'm going to deep dive this article later tonight.
I have an idea.
Waterbeds were a thing. Go ahead.
I have a really quick idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to call Matt live on the air.
Let's try it.
But don't say anything because I'm not going to, if he knows that we're recording, he's not going to answer this.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm just going to ask him, did he have one and what were the benefits?
Yeah, we're not going to hit on any sports tonight. So if you want to dip out, go ahead. Last 10 minutes are going to be interview with a waterbed connoisseur.
I just hope I'm right, but here we go. You can hear that, right?
Sure can.
Hey, this is Matt. Please leave a message. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Matt, it's P. Priup. I just wondering, really random question. Did you have a waterbed and what were the benefits? Let me know when you get this. Call me back.
All right. Well,
we have to wait for the answer.
I'm not waiting. But shout out Hurricane for maybe inadvertently putting this one on the books, but that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a great callback.
To know more. That is a great callback. Let's do this. We're coming up on time. Talked about catfish, talked about waterbeds. Celtics are on right now. They're playing the Suns, who are a good team. I assume Devin Booker has 35 points at this point, probably maybe early second quarter. Marcus Smart's probably 0 for 6 from 3. And
Chris Paul's definitely gotten under someone's nerves.
Chris Paul's gotten under someone's nerves, and in between TV timeouts, he's hinting at the refs that just keep an eye on Tatum. He's taken one too many steps for my liking. Yeah, just keep an eye on it.
As an impartial participant of this game,
I'm a pretty well-known name in the old NBA players organization. So, hey, if this is not a threat, but if you want to keep getting those paychecks, just keep an eye on Tatum's left foot. Right? All right, let's have some fun. I got to freaking retire.
Yeah, you see my commercials.
Those are good commercials. Drake from State Farm.
Yeah.
It's actually one of my favorites. I'm actually surprised I didn't think of that sooner. Drake from State Farm is cool.
Stand-ins don't get lines.
No. I like Drake. I'd like to see, excuse me, Drake was an actor before he was a rapper. I'd like to see Drake go back to being an actor. I'd love to see Drake in like a major role. Like I'd like to see Drake as like the main star in like a random sequel. Like
The Conjuring?
No, not a horror movie.
Oh, I could see him being a ghost.
I'd like to see Drake star in like maybe Rush Hour 5 or what's another movie? Daddy Daycare 2 or
yeah,
Legally Blonde 3, something like that. Just like one of those sequels that you know clearly has like no affiliation with the prior. But somehow they just got the rights to film one, like the Home Alone sequels, pretty much after like Home Alone 2.
Oh god,
something like that. But
I think what makes Drake cool to me is
oh boy,
the thing that a lot of people don't like, which is the fact that like when he raps about being hard or gangster or whatever, all you have to do is Google Aubrey Graham and see the pictures of him as a fucking It's like,
in a
dude, that's
wheelchair.
not
No
your
one
life.
talks about that. He beat paralysis, and like no one gives him any credit for that.
Paralysis previously undefeated, and
That's
still
so
undefeated
crazy.
since.
Yeah, what? Yeah, just one small blemish on Paralysis's record.
John Paralysis.
Yep. No,
But yeah, I think it's hilarious.
I think I like that side of Drake. Like
Me too.
the side of Drake where it's like he does, and I think it's, I don't know. Like I don't see Drake as like a 50-50, like R&B, that side of Drake, and then like gangster rap Drake.
Right.
I see Drake. Drake's the epitome of like a guy who just has a lot. The way Drake acts basically is like an embodiment of like a lot of his friends. Like he hangs around like Young Money and like Rick Ross and guys like that. And it's like he wants to put on like that's who he is. But the best part is like we know it's not. So it's like I think honestly to your point, I think that's what makes it kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's not a nerd or anything. Like you'd probably kick my ass, but it's like, you know what I mean? He's just like that tag along where it's like, if he's on a song with like Rick Ross, Wayne, Jadakiss, 50, whatever, you know what I mean? Someone who actually has a history. It's like, all right, Drake, cool. But nah, I don't know.
That wasn't your life.
Suspect. That wasn't you, bro. That wasn't you. But you're still cool in my book. And I do think he's like a cool guy. Because he can play, because he has the opportunity to play both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Like Rick Ross isn't doing a Rick from State Farm commercial anytime soon.
No.
Drake can. You know what I mean? And know what's hilarious is like 50 Cent has weirdly gone in that direction too. Like I see it all the time. He'll do ads for like these really like corny ads, like on like Facebook targeted ads and stuff. But then he'll post, I think he's still making music up to like within the last 5 years. He'll drop like a random mixtape, which is awful. But it's like his like 50 Cent persona from like 2004. Really weird guy. A lot of rappers are like that. Once you get to a certain age, it's like, you know, you can't really pull off what you could like years ago. But you still get that itch. You still want to sometimes.
Strange career arc for 50 Cent.
Very strange career. You could argue, like I'll always argue 50's peak as right there with anyone. Like 2004 to like, I think the clear line in the sand was the Curtis versus Graduation public self-inflicted like public competition. I remember what that was like. That was like sophomore year, right? Like 07, 08. Oh, I remember watching that on like TRL or whenever it was, just like, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, remember when they showed up to the VMAs and they just stood face to face?
I sure do. And I think, I want to say the actual like records sold at least first week or so were pretty close because like 50 he's always going to sell records like during that time. But now when you look back, like I would venture Graduation's a better album than Curtis. But what do I know? Because I remember Curtis that was such a great time in music. Like they came out the gates hot. Like I think, what was the first single off Graduation? I don't think it was Stronger. I think Can't Tell Me Nothing came out first.
Can't Tell Me Nothing.
Like leaked first, right?
Yep.
And I don't think I Get Money was the first one on Curtis. I think there was another one on that album.
That I'm not sure about, and that shows you.
I know what it was. It was God, this song sucked, but it was actually not bad. Laughing to the Bank, or like Straight to the Bank, or whatever it was, came out, which was fine. But then Stronger came out. Yeah, Stronger came out. I was like, all right, obviously game over. But then I Get Money came out, and I was like, maybe we're leaning a little more towards old Curtis. And then the full albums came out. And it's like, oh, okay, now I see the difference. I see where this is going. I would venture which one is probably going to win more Grammys.
Yeah, Graduation not only had like more hits, but it had even the ones that weren't necessarily mainstream hits, you could perceive as classics now, many years later.
Certainly.
Curtis I
has
don't
some
remember.
bad songs.
Yeah.
No, Curtis, that album blows.
The
Really
one song that I
sick.
remember was Curtis 187.
That's
Curtis
a dope
187.
song. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. The thing is, like, I Get Money is an all time.
Oh, that's a great song.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that was tough. That was a tough look. Anyway, I'm just trying to think out loud how we want to name this one. So we had a little Broadway, a Los Angeles catfish, and then
Waterbeds.
swimming in the deep end. What happened to waterbeds? All right. What do we got? Good stuff next week. Potentially some interesting stuff next week in the works. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next time. Anything else on your end, Soap?
No, we are good.
Cool. See you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.